It was all for nothing. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 160 of the Shower Podcast, the podcast where I'm finally back in my shower and you do you. I'm your host, Chip, and today we're talking about the 2020s. Not some distant era of philosophy or industrial change, but right now, in real time. And if you're listening, you've lived through this one with me. Before we start, as usual, if you end up liking this episode and overall the Shower Podcast, leaving a like and a subscribe really help. It's just one click, but they really make the difference. Episode 9 today will explore an age of resilience. Why? Well, pretty straightforward. 2020 changed everything. A global pandemic hit. The world stopped. And for the first time in our lives, we were collectively forced to slow down. Or, to be honest, crash. Routines collapsed, travel ended, social lives shrank, and the big machine of hustle culture is just froze. And in that stillness, something strange happened. All the things we had to measure progress, productivity, goals, checklists, side hustles, suddenly didn't matter. Nobody was waking up at 5 a.m. to crush it. People were just trying to breathe, to stay healthy, to keep their minds from spiraling. And in that moment, a new kind of self-improvement was born. One that wasn't about becoming more, but about holding on, staying present, staying sane. Suddenly, ideas that used to feel niche or soft became essential. Meditation apps skyrocketed in downloads. Therapy, once a luxury, became a survival tool. Journaling, breathing, sleeping, crying, these became wins. And terms like emotional bandwidth, mental load, and collective trauma entered the mainstream. Self-help went from aspirational to existential. And let's be real, this wasn't just about the virus. 2020 brought global protests, climate emergencies, political instability, isolation, burnout. The illusion of certainty cracked wide open. And we were all left asking, what really matters now? That question echoed through every Zoom call, every quiet evening, every sleepless night. And slowly, the answers started to change. Because the truth is, when life gets hard, you get real. You stop posturing, you drop the filters. You realize growth isn't always about climbing. It's about enduring, adapting, reconnecting. One of the clearest shifts we saw? The explosion of conversations around mental health. What used to be hidden became headline news. Public figures, from athletes like Simone Biles to musicians like Billie Eilish, became talking openly about anxiety, depression, burnout, and people listened. Apps like BetterHelp, Calm, Headspace, and Weebot became lifelines. Instagram was suddenly full of therapists, somatic coaches, trauma-informed educators. And no, not all of this was great. But the hunger was real. How do I take care of myself when the world feels broken? We also saw the return of slowness as a virtue. People began walking more, cooking more, spending time offline. Minimalism, nature, and rest weren't just aesthetics. They were medicine. Books like Burnout by Emily and Amelia Nagoski, Rest is Resistance by Trisha Hersey, and Wintering by Catherine May offer something radical. Permission to pause, to retreat, to replenish. And this too became part of the new self-help. Not fixing yourself, but honoring your limits. So far, we've talked about the shock of the 2020s, the collective pause, the shift from hustle to healing. But now let's look at what emerged from that silence. Because something changed. Not just in how we live, but in how we grow. Here's the truth. The world broke open, and so did we. But from these cracks, something deeply human started growing. Let's talk about boundaries. In a culture that used to praise the grind, burnout was almost a badge of honor. People started saying no. Quiet quitting, flexible work, digital detoxes, therapy days, they're not just laziness. the reclaiming of agency. Books like Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover offered scripts for saying no without guilt. Therapists and life coaches became influencers, helping people rebuild their lives not on pressure, but on purpose and safety. And this is key. The new wave of self-improvement isn't about becoming invincible. It's about becoming safe inside your own life. And here, I would like to talk briefly also about the Shower Podcast. That's the whole point of my show, to make you feel vulnerable, but also give you the tools and make you understand that you're not alone and that it's okay to not have answers and just figure it out bit by bit. Because here's the thing, vulnerability is not a weakness. It's the door to real strength. As Brené Brown reminds us, you can't get to courage without walking through vulnerability. And that takes us to a bigger theme, softness as strength. You started seeing people embrace things that would have been once dismissed as soft. Breath work, cold plunges, forest walks, energy healing, even just silence. People stopped trying to level up and started trying to feel alive. And slowly, self-help began to reconnect with something older and deeper, community. We realized that individual growth, while important, isn't sustainable without belonging, without people who see us, mirror us, challenge us gently, and remind us that we're not alone. You saw this in everything from mutual aid groups to online peer circles to the explosion of group coaching and support communities. Even the loneliness epidemic made headlines because we were finally admitting that being independent doesn't mean being alone. And maybe that's the most honest evolution we've seen in self-improvement so far. It's not just how do I become better, it's how do I heal in community with compassion and without losing myself. So as we close this episode, here's what I want to leave you with. Growth isn't a sprint anymore. It's a slow return. A return to yourself, to the people who matter, to rhythms that restore instead of drain. And maybe the best part? There's no gold star, no end game. Just today, the breath you take, the meal you cook, the text you send, the feeling you let exist without fixing it. And that's progress. In the next and final episode of this series, we'll step into what comes next. What does self-improvement look like in the future? Can we build a model that's wise, flexible, collective, and human? Well, you'll have to wait for tomorrow in order to learn that. But so far, thank you very much for listening. And as always, feel free to leave me feedback in the comments. And I really hope that you managed to enjoy as much as I did this mini-series. So until the next one, as usual, stay consistent, stay resilient, and see you tomorrow.